Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, when I see all of those pictures of nature and the beauty of creation, it just it always touches me and moves me. You know, God's creation is such a love letter to us, and especially as we get into this summer season, you start being outdoors more, and we have more experiences with nature and the grass is growing in our yard again, so we've got to mow it and trimming the hedges and work to do and things to do to take care of the things of creation. So actually next week on Friday, in our Unifications tradition, we'll be celebrating the Day of All True Things. And so I figured leading up to that, to prepare us and to remind you on Friday to make sure you have a good celebration as a family, I figured I would focus on God's design for us, why we're celebrating the day of creation and of all things, and particularly our role in liberating all the things of creation. So, we want to talk on the focus. Our third great purpose in life is to have dominion of love over all things of the creation. Right? So, do you remember the first two purposes of life? What's the first purpose of life?
Joy.
Joy, but how do we become joy? Individually, we grow up and we become individuals of true love. Right? Grow up. That's our first job, right? To grow up, mature, and to love God. To be people with one heart who love God. Right? And then, on that foundation, what's the second great purpose? Family of love, right? So from our family to our society to the neighbors, the people around us. So the second great purpose is to love our neighbor, right? To love the people, starting with our family and expanding that to the world. So Jesus' two great commandments, for two great purposes. Love God, grow up and become a person who reflects God, and love our neighbor, starting with our family, to love all the people in the world around us. Well, the third one is to love things of creation, loving the world. So there's some great verses about this in the Bible. I'm going to read some. This is from the book of Psalms. It's the 8th chapter. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you've established, what are human beings that you are mindful of them? Mortals, that you care for them. Yet you have made them a little lower than God and crowned them with glory and honor. You have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet, all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the fields and the birds in the air and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. So this is God's design for us, is to be lords over all things of creation, loving and caring for the things of creation. But if we look at the reality of the world today, we haven't always been doing such a great job, right, in taking care of the things of creation. So actually, even St. Paul, this is from the book of Romans, he points this out. He says, "For the creation eagerly waits for the revelation of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility." Futility means frustration. The creation is frustrated. "For we know that the whole creation groans in suffering together until now." Some versions call it suffering in travail, great suffering that this creation is going through, because there aren't true sons and daughters giving it the true love that God designed us to give. This is the amazing thing, and I encourage you, if you have time, to study the principle more in depth with us. But God's design for us is that we're to be the ones that receive all of God's love. We're the only things in all of creation that can experience the totality of God's love. Our job is to translate that amazing love of God, overwhelming love of God, into love that the rest of the creation can experience. So even the angels can't experience God's love completely. They're designed to feel God's love through us. So all things in creation are longing to feel God's love. The only way they can feel it is through us, through God's children, who God's representatives. So let me read. This is from one of Father Moon's speeches called True Ownership. As we know from the book of Romans, all things are in lamentation, sighing that they are in the hands of the wrong ownership. So for ownership to come into the hands of God, or the country of God's dominion, it has to become dominated by true love. True love is what all things want. They are really disappointed and sighing because they are the prisoner and slave of unrighteous ownership. In order for them to go back to the true love dominion, to the godly nation, tribe, clan, and ultimately to the godly parents and children, the only way is for all things to be returned to the ownership of God. This is the statement. Just when we think about Day of All Things, the Day of All Things was inaugurated, is what Father Moon says, was inaugurated to resolve the bitter sorrow of the world of all created things. So, the purpose for this declaration, this celebration, was for the first time, God had a condition to work through us. God could claim us as God's true sons and daughters. And as God's true sons and daughters, we can give the love that all the creation is so desperate to feel and to experience. So, how do we do that? It's the one thing to say, okay, go out and be the true loving people of creation.
Okay.
That's right. That's our job. So this is also from the Chun Sung Gyong. Father Moon says, however, human beings are qualified to dissolve the bitter sorrow of all things only if they stand in the position of Adam and Eve before the fall. From the beginning, dominion over all things of creation should have had true parents' love at the center. So in our life of faith, our mission is to cultivate that heart of true parents, so that we ourselves can be the ones that can convey that perfect love from God to all the things of the creation. So in effect, we are the ones. Our job is to liberate all things of creation through true love. So, I figured this morning what I wanted to do was to explore 4 areas of creation for us to develop our heart and love for. And really to develop the heart of a true loving owner. Not just, an owner that takes things greedily, but a true loving owner and really a steward, caretaker over all the things of creation. So the first place to start, as you saw in that video, is all of nature. Nature is so amazing. It's so filled with expressions of love and beauty and amazing curiosity and uniqueness. A love letter to us from God. But as we read and understand, creation is really suffering, groaning, because it's not experiencing genuine love from us. And if you think about it, we haven't always done such a good job taking care of nature. But when we talk about nature, we talk a whole range of things, starting with, in our house, our pets. Right? The pets and the animals. Even the plants that we keep in our house. The watering the plants. Some of us are good at growing plants, some of us aren't. But, those things that we care for. Our yard. That's why, now that it's raining and we've got lots of sunshine, time to water and grow the yard, right? Taking care of our lawn and the environment around us. And the parks and rivers and lakes and the ocean and even the air. There's so much for us to appreciate. All the amazing animals of creation. So our mission in conveying love to nature has to do with gratitude, being appreciative of the beauty that surrounds us, and care for the creation. Being good stewards, being good caretakers of this planet. Father Moon often refers to the natural world as our third parent. So our job is to love and care for all those things of creation. Let me read another excerpt from the Cheonsung-gyeong. This is from, most of these quotes are going to be true Father and Mother Moon's quotes from the book called True Creation. So, let me read. When you love the mountains, love water, and love all things of creation on God's behalf, everything will be fine. You will be healthy. We need to love the creation on behalf of God. By loving all things of creation, we can become their loving master. As I said before, God's design for us is that we're to receive all the incredible amount of love from God and convey that to the things of creation and to each other. Father and Mother Moon also say, when we sit in nature and gaze upon our surroundings, we feel something mystical. If your heart flows with love for nature, loving people will come naturally. Gazing at flowers, butterflies, and all created things in nature gives us hope. This morning in morning devotion, we're reading Mother Moon's memoir. Beautiful, huh? This is, when I think about even young experiences that we have as young people, hopefully we've all had good experiences with nature, right? With pets, with animals, even growing little plants and going out in the park and playing and being out when there's, seeing butterflies and chasing fireflies around. And just these kinds of experiences are so important and precious in our life. It's really tragic that many young people grow up today, particularly in big cities where, they're surrounded by just concrete, and they don't have so many opportunities to have these experiences with nature. So it's important that we find ways. I'm grateful that there's so many parks Sacramento is good because we've got lots of trees all over, but we've also got lots of parks. And we've got lots of rivers around us and many opportunities to experience nature.
Salmon too?
Lots of, all kinds of fish. So when I was reading all this, there was another, just a couple of times Father Moon mentioned, he says, when you get old, when you reach your 70s or 80s, and I said, wait a minute, I'm almost 70. Says, and your memory starts getting a little bit iffy, starts getting dim. He says, and in our physical bodies get a little bit weaker. That's the time you better go out and live in nature. Spend time in nature, living among natural things created by God, and loving them and caring for them as their loving owner, as their master. So, I'm making plans to move up to the mountains. No. Not yet. But making sure we include nature in our life and the experiences, because nature needs to feel our love, to fulfill its purpose. That beautiful flower, unless it has humans coming along and loving the beauty of it and experiencing gratitude and appreciating its beauty, it hasn't really been able to fulfill its purpose. So, to liberate all things of creation, particularly to liberate nature, we need to care and love with a genuine, true heart. So, the other aspect of things of creation that we have to deal with is our stuff. The things that we possess. The stuff that we own, right? And I read, I found a great list, and I think I've shared this before, and many of you have probably seen this, and if not, maybe most of you have experienced this, and some of you are maybe going to experience it soon. It's the list, toddler rules for possession. So, rule number one, for a toddler, young child, to know whether they possess something is, if I like it, it's mine. Right? Or if it's in my hand, it's mine. Or if I can take it from you, it's mine. And if I had it a little while ago, it's still mine. Right? And if I saw it first, it's mine. And if you're playing with something and you put it down, it becomes mine. But if it's broken, it's yours. So, as young children, young children are self-centered. And that's okay. That's their view of the universe. They can't see beyond themselves. And so this stage is, it's funny. It's kind of entertaining. And, we don't need to squash that. We need to love them and encourage them. And through example, let them experience the greater joy they can have through sharing the things that we have, possessions. So, we grow out of it. We grow out of this. Hopefully, right? Please, if any of these things are true for you, please mark that on your things to do. I need to work on that, right? But genuine care for our possessions, the heavenly perspective is that we really understand everything we own is just on loan to us. That God, everything belongs to God. So God is trusting us to take care of these things that we're responsible for, that we possess. So when it means take care of them, it also means don't be dominated by our possessions. Right? We're meant to love and care for our possessions. Our possessions should not be controlling us. So this is one thing I keep having to work on. The whole being a pack rat, where I collect things and I just can't let it go. And then there's the whole process of lightening up, right? Maria Kondo and her, declutter your life. Things want to be loved and appreciated. But if we're just holding on to it because we don't know how to get rid of it, means we haven't really valued it and appreciated it. I really like the one expression that Maria Kondo uses when getting rid of old stuff. You take it, you hold it in your hand, and you feel if it doesn't spark joy right now, if I'm not using it right now, then I say, thank you for the joy you gave me in the past. And now I can let you go. And that's loving. That's loving our things of possession. Another thing that Father Moon often says, he says, the things that you possess, are they happy to be possessed by you? And I think, is that sofa and TV happy to be possessed by me? Am I using that for a heavenly purpose? Maybe I need to check myself. But everything we own wants to feel joy because it knows it's contributing to our ability to love others, to bring goodness in the world, and to be healthy and to experience God. That's what all things in creation want to experience, to know that they have value because people of God are using it for a good and heavenly purpose. True love is what everything wants. Even our chair, even the TV, everything wants to be loved and used for a good heavenly purpose. Again, let me read from Father and Mother Moon from the Chun Sung Gyong. Your management of the things you have owned so far, your material possessions, is only temporary. You are just the manager. In order to manage things properly, all your things should be dedicated to God by offering them to Him. True love is what all things want. So, another version of possessions is money. Money drives us crazy. Satan attacks through money so easily, through our greed and our selfishness. But money is just a tool. It's a tool, it's part of our possession, things of creation. But God's entrusting money to us. So God's trusting us to be responsible. That means to manage it well. Again, another thing I need to work on, right? We should all have a budget. We should keep records and pay attention to our finances. We should plan and be responsible. I really appreciate, there's a lot of people teaching about financial planning. One Christian, Dave Ramsey, I encourage you, check him out. Go online. He has lots of videos. Talking about financial planning is really about our dominion over the things of creation. And money is a power representation of our possessions. So one important thing, when we offer everything to God, that's what our tithe is. Since everything belongs to God, all of our money belongs to God. By offering a 10% tithe, which is what God, from the Old Testament, the New Testament, and completed Testament age, God is calling us, 10% we should always offer, the first and the best 10% to God. And then the rest, God says, yeah, I claim all of it. And since you gave me the represent 10%, then I trust you to use the rest. Actually, one of Dave Ramsey's recommendations is that you should always plan your budget. 10% of your money should go to tithe, to donation, to even if you're not a church member, you should donate to some public cause. Not use it for yourself. That 10% doesn't belong to us. And an additional 10% you should always put into savings. So you should plan our life to live on only 80% of our income. Very practical. Father Moon, again, from the Chun Sung Gyong. Thus, when family members use money and save it for the sake of the whole, the environment of love in that family will expand. That ideal becomes real when we expand it to the society and world on the foundation of such families. Money is so happy to be used for a heavenly purpose. Money comes to those that Money knows I'm going to be used in a good way. I know that my existence will be a blessing to the world. So money is attracted to people. The spirit world is mobilized. God, heaven, and all the angels love to give money to people that God can trust with money. That God knows will use that money for a good purpose. For people who have true love and care for that money in an unselfish, in a heavenly way. True love is what everything wants. So, last thing I want to talk about. My body. My body is on loan to me from the creation, right? Father Moon says, our body, our third parent is nature. Because our body comes from, first our life comes from God, and then from our parents, but then our body actually comes from nature. So it's on loan to us. God's loaned us this body in order to grow our spirit, because our spirit is what's lasting eternally. So when we love and care for our body with true love, that means we have to take care of it. We have to take care of our body. We avoid bad things that are poison and unhealthy for our body. This is why we discourage smoking and drinking and using drugs and things like that for recreation. And we encourage doing good things, eating good things. That's why these potlucks are so great. Sometimes the best food of all week I eat. The healthiest, the most wonderful, maybe not always the healthiest, but the tastiest food that all week I experience. So doing good things, with our body. We exercise, get good nutrition, using our body in a positive way. So caring for our body is our responsibility. God trusts us, gave us these bodies as vehicles for us to grow our spirit in. Again, from Father and Mother Moon. A completely mature person must be healthy, united in mind and body, and in harmony with God's heart and absolute value. No matter how strong your spirit, if your body is not healthy, you cannot be a sound person. Conversely, no matter how strong your body is, if your spirit is not correct, you cannot embody a completely mature person. Realizing this, you need to make constant effort to maintain proper unity between your mind and body. So, actually, Father Moon also gave some advice about eating. He says, if you eat with a heart of appreciation and love, the food that enters your mouth will say, I deeply appreciate being absorbed into your body, becoming your flesh and blood, and giving you energy to love God. Right? If we do that, you will never know illness if you consume the fruit of love while appreciating it in oneness with God's original love. All things of creation are looking for true love, God's love. Love means caring for our body. It means being harmonious partners with our body and with creation. So for the day of all true things, it's a day to resolve all the pain and bitter sorrow and longing that the creation has for love. And we're the ones to give that love. As we care for our body to be healthy. Right? As we care and be responsible for money, being good stewards, tithing, being responsible, managing our money. With our possessions, realizing this is all on loan to us. And that we're taking care of it as if they were God's possessions. We don't abuse things because, I can't break that because that's God's. I have to take good care of these things because these are God's possessions. And let us be the caretakers and don't be dominated by the physical world. And finally, nature. Appreciating, valuing, and having that loving interaction with all the beauty and amazing things of God's creation. So again, the final point, just to end on this. Again, from the Chun Sung Gyeong. All things expect to be loved, valued, and treated well as the representatives of the one whose hands created them. That's who we are. We are the ones that all things can feel God's love through. Please join me in prayer. Father, Mother God, our loving Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for your presence and your working in our lives. We pray that we can continue to grow to be people who truly manifest your love and make it, the creation can end its suffering and groaning and be so joyful and happy and filled with love because of our care for it. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much. Please continue to guide us in our daily life, that we can be true stewards of your blessings. Thank you so much. Together as your sons and daughters, we offer ourselves and determine ourselves to be your true loving representatives, spreading love throughout the world. We pray this together. Amen and amen.